It's Jolan from our studios on MDI Road. This is the news for the headlines. President Jammeh Babili Mansa to compensate all those who were under his Hajj package but could not travel to Mecca for the pilgrimage. The first batch of tourists numbering 154 from the Netherlands jet into Banjul this evening as the 2015-2016 tourism season kicks into motion. U.S. President Republican candidate Donald Trump once again caused controversy at a town hall meeting after failing to offer a decisive answer to a supporter questioning President Obama's fate. Plus, Pope Francis set to arrive in Cuba on the backdrop of the Vatican's role in brokering ties between Washington and Havana. These and other stories coming ahead this half hour. I am your presenter, FATOUMATA JOBE. His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babili Mansa, the Honorable Secretary General, Office of the President, the Amirul Hajj and the entire Hajj Commission regrets to inform all those who were sponsored under His Excellency's Hajj package that every effort was made to send them on a pilgrimage to Mecca this year, but that it did not materialize. However, given His Excellency's benevolence and continuous service to mankind, His Excellency the President is informing all those affected that they will be compensated accordingly on a day-to-day schedules next week. As believers of our noble religion of Islam, we would continue to recognize that man proposes and Allah decides. It is worth noting that various groups will be received at various times. Further details will be announced accordingly. That is the press release from the Office of the President. Again, the Office of the President has issued a press release informing the general public that in accordance with executive directives, the Office of the President will on Sunday 20th and Monday 21st September 2015 conduct the distribution of dates donated to the Gambia by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In this regard, the following heads of institutions shown on the approved list of beneficiaries below are hereby informed that the distribution exercise will start at 9 a.m. on Sunday, 20th September 2015 at State House and are requested to collect the shares meant for beneficiaries under their institution's purview. It is further noted that as per the distribution arrangements, the concerned ministries as well as governors and mayors are to make their collection on Monday, 21st September. After collection on behalf of the remaining beneficiaries have been done by their respective representatives on Sunday, 20th September 2015. Those collecting are reminded that they shall be solely responsible for transporting their share from State House to their desired destinations. The approved distribution list for the donated consignment of dates by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia reads as follows: Governor of the Upper River Region, Governor of CRR, Governor of NBR, Governor of LRR, Governor of West Coast Region, Lord Mayor of KMC, Lord Mayor of BCC, Permanent Secretary, Office of the President, Permanent Secretary, Office of the Vice President, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Basic and Secondary Education for Schools, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of the Interior for Gambia Police Force, GID, PIU, etc. Permanent Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of the Environment, Climate Change and Wildlife, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Trade, Industry and Employment, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Tourism and Culture, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, GRA and Central Bank, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Energy, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Lands and Regional Government, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Youth and Sports, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Forestry, the President of the Supreme Islamic Council, Director of SOS Village, Speaker of the National Assembly, Director of Social Welfare Department for the Disabled, Director of the National Youth Service Scheme, Auditor General of the NAO, Chairman of IEC, Principal of the RDI, President of the Dock Workers Association, Chairperson of the Distribution Committee, the Ombudsman, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Defense, Gambia Armed Forces and the Navy, Imam of the State House Mosque, Director General of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, CEO of the Suleiman Junkunjame Hospital, CEO of the Serekunda Hospital, Principal of Armitage, CEO of Farafeni Hospital, CEO of the Bansang Hospital, Chief Medical Director of the Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital and Tankatanka, Executive Director of the National Nutrition Agency, Director of Women's Bureau, Statistician General at GBOS, Director General of the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, Managing Director of Gambia Ports Authority, Managing Director of GAMTEL, Managing Director of GAMPOST, Permanent Secretary, PMO, and Chairman of the PSC, Managing Director, Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, Managing Director of GAMCEL, Vice Chancellor, University of the Gambia, Director General of GTTI, Director General of MDI, Principal of Gambia College, Bishop of the Christian Council, and President, Islamic Boarding Schools, AMANA. Meanwhile, despite contending with the socio-economic downturn brought about by the Ebola crisis, the country's tourism sector is anticipating continuity in its once flourishing arrival numbers ahead of the 2015-2016 tourism season. Officials of the Gambia Tourism Board are confident of a change in fortune this time around, even though destination Gambia remains an Ebola-free nation.
It did not bring the Gambia's tourism to a standstill, but the recent Ebola crisis that grappled the West African states of Guinea, Liberia, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone, among others, left an unpleasant economic strain in the tourism sectors of the sub-region in particular.
When we had the Ebola crisis, it actually hit us badly, because we were actually going in a very, very high rates. Because if you compare, of course, 2012 and 2013, like you said, it was about 171,000, and actually we had a drop of a level of 9%. We were actually infected, but we were affected due to the unfair media announcement by the West.
Since it is a sector whose significance, especially in our part of the world, cannot be downplayed, the socio-economic hangover resulting from the impacts of the Ebola pandemic needs constant and continuous redress, as has been the case. Officials of the Gambia Tourism Board, among them its Director General, Abdullah Haidara, recently re-echoed the need for continuity in tackling the bull by the horn regarding tranquilizing the impacts of the deadly Ebola pandemic on the economies of countries like the Gambia and bettering Gambian tourism at large.
Size does not matter in this. What matters is how we do it and when we will do it. We don't have to wait for too long, because we have competitors who are equally not infected by Ebola, but they are aware of the extent of Ebola crisis in the region, so they are doing everything possible to capture their rightful positions in the market and beyond.
Elsewhere in the world and here in the Gambia, tourism, which accounts for 10% of global jobs, is faced with several challenges, but the economic standoff that the Ebola mess has created for the sector in the West African sub-region was directly felt. As a result, hopes of bringing back things to its glory days are not dead, as this is emphasized again.
We have a good and strong competitive edge, and we will, inshallah, take every single opportunity that we have to ensure that the Gambia's position as far as world tourism is concerned will be taken to the highest height.
We are optimistic of the arrivals. I wouldn't want to give you any figures for now, but I'm sure you'll see it for yourself that we are more optimistic than last year. And you will see the manifestation, because even the first arrival of the season will go into September from Holland by Corendon. So at least it's a good signal that we have an earlier flight than expected. And of course, if all things being equal, you could be more than that. But off my head, I know we have about 27 weekly flights. as our prediction for now. It could be more than that. That's why I don't want to preempt any numbers. Be rest assured we are all set for it. And I'm glad that the strategy that we adopted during the Ebola crisis is actually paying dividend, although it's slow, but we are reaching there.
Before the Ebola crisis, there was over 170,000 arrivals and hopes of repositioning for the achievement of 500,000 tourists as per the sector's Vision 2020 objectives may see light at the end of the tunnel. This is perhaps clearly evident with the arrival of this season's first flight earlier than usual, but experts and stakeholders have it that a lot of effort should be in place if the sector's objectives are to be attained. Modu Bajan reporting for GRTS News.
Gambian pilgrims are now in Mecca after observing the many Hajj rites in Medina upon arrival in the holy city. Pilgrims from the country have taken turns to circle the Kaaba as well as offer 2 rakah prayers at Maqam Ibrahim. Mama J brings us up to speed with the state of affairs regarding Gambian pilgrims.
Have now converged in Mecca for weeks of Hajj after performing series of rituals in Medina Munawwara. The life-transforming and spiritual journey was a prelude to the Hajj. Islamic scholars classify Hajj into 3 categories: Ifrad, Qiran, and Tamattu. Pilgrims who choose Ifrad perform Hajj solely, and Qiran pilgrims perform Hajj and Umrah together in one Ihram, while Tamattu pilgrims perform Umrah and Hajj separately. However, many Gambian pilgrims perform Tamattu as it is considered less rigid. Under this form of Hajj, Gambian pilgrims enter into a state of Ifrad before leaving Medina, marking the formal declaration of the pilgrimage and pronouncement of the devotional observance. Prior to the dawning of the Ihram, pilgrims were advised to purify their body by taking religious baths or janaba with clean water, cut their nails and shave. Pilgrims then dressed in their Ihram, a 2 white seamless clothes for male pilgrims, with one covering their body from waist to the ankle and other thrown over the shoulder, while female pilgrims wear simple white or any gown covering their body and hair. This, according to the religious leaders, is a symbol of the pilgrims' search for purity. After the dawning of the Ihram, pilgrims will offer prayers of 2 rakahs, declaring their intention to perform Armal Umrah. Pilgrims who travel by bus from Medina to Makkah began the talbiyah, chanting Labaika Allahumma Labaika, an indication that they have responded to Allah's call to make the pilgrimage. At this stage of grace and purity, pilgrims were advised not to engage in any dispute or commit any violent act or indulge in any form of relations. Upon arrival in Makkah, Gambian pilgrims took turns to make powerful Umrah, walking 7 times around the Holy Kaaba. From the Kaaba, pilgrims also offer prayers of 2 rakahs at Maqam Ibrahim before proceeding to Safa and Marwa, where pilgrims walk or run slowly in between Mount Safa and Marwa 7 times, just like Hajj did. After performing all these religious rites, male pilgrims shave their hair, while female pilgrims cut a small box from their hair and remove their ihram, marking the end of the Umrah. Gambian pilgrims who are now waiting for the Hajj proper perform their 5 daily prayers at Ihram, where the Holy Kaaba is situated, which is about 3 kilometers away from their accommodation centers. Okay, GRTS.
Hundreds of volunteers Friday stormed President Jammeh's Farato farm in support of ongoing transplanting and weeding activities there. The volunteers, comprising personnel of the Gambia Prison Services and New Just One Women Association, said their participation in the agricultural undertaking is informed by the national call initiated and championed by the Gambian leader. Ibrahim Ajalo was there for GRTS.
They arrived in the early hours of Friday morning with a view to answering to the patriotic call in a bid to accomplish the National Food Security Initiative, championed by the Pan-Africanist leader, Sept Professor Dr. Alhaji AJJ Jammeh Babil Mansour. The volunteers, numbering 150 women from New Josephine Sanchaba, led by Ablai Bojang of Abulo Promotion, and dozens of Gambia prison service intakes, went ahead with the task at hand.
No, His Excellency Sept Professor Alhaji AJJ Jammeh Babil Mansour. He's called Ward 4. And this is not also the first time we'll be coming here. We always work on his farms. Call it Farato, Sifo Farms, Siwoni, Denton Bridge, and also, State Out itself, So we walk all over the year, with him. But definitely what inspires us is he's a man who loves Gambia.
Speaking to GRTS, General Barrow of New Jersey Sanchaba said her association could not wait to lend a helping hand upon receiving the call from the farm manager of Farato Farm. She said the association has since been poised to partake in this national initiative, citing Friday's turn-up as a clear testimony. Barrow used the opportunity to reiterate her association's continued support for President Jammeh. The commander of Prison Training School, Chief Superintendent Ibrahim Jammeh, explains the motive behind the participation of his department in rendering support to the president's farming venture.
I can say today is the happiest day I have, because I was not expecting that the turnout of these people, it will be like this. Because this rice today is my headache. Because the nursery where it is, if I don't have correct volunteers, just as today, it will be overgrown. And when it overgrown, there's no other nursery where I can get it again. So I thank the volunteers very well.
The Farato Farm manager, Captain Jibril Jammeh, said he was impressed with the large turnout of volunteers, noting that the help came at the right time, given the complication and limited time available in transplanting of rice seedlings.
I will thank the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, who is our beloved leader here, and he is so supportive as far as security is concerned. And due to his support to the security, that motivates us to come here and give a lending hand to him on his farm.
Yeah. How many volunteers are you here with?
I'm here with 194 recruits. Yes, and all these 194 recruits, at least 50 of them are female.
While the women folk were hard on the transplanting of rice seedlings, scores of male and female prison recruits were also busy within the maize field. The vast arable farmland in Farato is being used for multiple agricultural purposes, and that it is one of the contributors to the realization of President Jammeh's Vision 2016 initiative. Ibrahim Jallo, GRTS News.
The Gambia's growing independent producers industry has been given a needed boost in the wake of a landmark decision by the Gambia Radio and Television Services to engage members through the Independent Producers Platform. The first edition of the Independent Producers Platform is meant to provide players in the media industry an avenue to discuss with authorities at GRTS on ways of improving programs and general production and television. GRTS's Supremo Alaji Lamin Manga and some of the interested participants have welcomed the idea, and many of them are hopeful of exploring their talents when given the opportunity. Isa Duketa reports on that.
For nearly 2 decades, the television arm of the state broadcaster remained consistent with its basic rule of providing its viewership with diverse program contents. Was that enough to capture the imagination of a growing population? The need to improve quality in the face of growing competition, backed by the drive to integrate into the digital migration process, according to the Director General GRTS, have made this process all the more necessary.
We're going through a phase where Gambia is getting ready to migrate from analog to digital. And that means that we are also with the objective to open up to many more channels. I think the whole of Gambia are yearning to see commercial channels. Everything that you see in other parts of the world, which makes it interesting for people to watch, has been commercial content. And that has been lacking, and I think it is an opportunity for us to start to build it up from the grassroots, where we want to see people that have the interest, not necessarily coming up on the GRTS payroll, but we create the environment where the players that make the industry will come together and create content for television.
For the television to deliver on its stated goals, he went on, it will require the contribution of experts who are living and working in the country.
We're trying to build up some kind of an industry for content providers. If you would have seen a professional cameraman 10-15 years ago, he or she would have been a GRTS product. And now, 15 years later, you see a lot of ex-GRTS staffs and people that would have had the experience from GRTS, but they're all in little segments here and there. And we want to have an umbrella body that will have the capacity and the strength to produce content, not only for Gambia, but we are talking of content providers from the Gambia. This is why we thought we should create the enabling environment to have people that are interested in our work, whether you want to be a TV presenter, whether you want to be a camera operator, whether you want to be somebody interested in lighting, audio, you name it, and the list goes on. The evolution of production, we want to have all of them under a banner.
Improving content quality is the cornerstone of this initiative, and for the next 3 days, aspiring independent producers and production experts and those working in related areas will register under the auspices of the Independent Producers Platform. Excited and overly confident, many are looking forward to contributing to the television's rebranding efforts.
Since when I was young, I always wanted to be a presenter and talk and people listen and people watch, so it will be like a dream come true if I have the chance to be part of this team.
I want to be a TV presenter and a newsreader because I've been so much motivated, and then it has been my dream so much for so long, and it's something that I want to really become.
It is that start of what television authorities believe will be the dawn of a new era, which will enhance the growth and appeal of the television to its diverse viewership. Aisa Tuketa, GRTS.
The first batch of tourists from the Netherlands this evening arrived in the country as the new tourism season gets underway. The Dutch holiday makers, numbering 154, came aboard a flight named Corendon. They were welcomed upon arrival by officials in the tourism sector and were also given a taste of the Gambia's rich cultural heritage by cultural groups. Modu Bajan reports on that.
Corendon, the first flight of the 2015-2016 tourist season, landed at Banjul International Airport Friday evening. From the Netherlands, the 154 tourists were welcomed and accompanied to their hotel by officials of the Ministry of Tourism and Culture. The Director General of Gambia Tourism Board, in an interview with GRTS, said they have started the season 1 month ahead and it will close 1 month earlier. Abdullah Haidara added that this early arrival of tourists is important for a variety of reasons.
Corendon has just landed with Boeing 800 series with 154 first tourist arrival for this year. This is very significant, and it has given us the opportunity, as we had all prayed and yearned for, after years of hard work, after years of joint marketing campaign, after years of struggle to bring the Gambian tourism into an 8-year session.
Also on the ground for this year's first tourist arrival was the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Minister of Tourism and Culture. Kodu Jabang also directed on this first flight carrying tourists landing in the country.
We're optimistic. It's going to be a great season ahead, given the fact, as I've already said, quite a lot of challenges were encountered last year. A lot of flight cancellations due to the Ebola epidemic that had hit the West African sub-region, for that matter. So we had obviously flight cancellations, as well as very low hotel occupancies, etc. But as I've said, the outlook is positive. We're optimistic, and we're looking forward to a very, very great tourist season. That's the 2015-2016 season.
Tara Veron, an analyst writer among the arrivals, all expressed their happiness for coming to the Smiling Coast.
I'm a photographer, I'm a journalist, and I'm working as a journalist who discovers nice places to see, explore, and cultural, also for tourism. And I'm doing that already for 25 years. I did a lot of work and articles, and I felt like going to Gambia. Must be nice to come here.
The commercial director at the Gambia International Airlines said they are looking forward to a very fruitful tourist season, noting that the number of incoming flights is encouraging.
We are looking forward to a very, very fruitful tourism season. The first one started today, and that henceforth, more flights, will be landing at Banjul International Airport. And Gambia International Airlines is the ground handling, agent at Banjul International Airport.
we are the first point of call. Immediately tourists arrived in Banjul, the first service that they receive comes from Gambia International Airlines. It is a general belief that first impressions are lasting impressions. So being the first point of contact, we will make sure that our service is always executed, provided at international level, at international standard.
As emphasized by officials of the sector, this year's early arrival by Corendon is perhaps a clear testimony of a well-cherished upcoming tourist season with numerous socio-economic benefits to be tapped into. Muru Bayan reporting for GRTS News.
News from outside the Gambia is up next after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. There is fresh controversy brewing around U.S. Republican candidate Donald Trump. It started with a question at a town hall about Muslims. Today, Donald Trump is criticized for his response or non-response. The leader of the Roman Catholic Church is about to pay a visit to Cuba. Pope Francis arrived Saturday amidst the historic sour of relations between Havana and Washington. We will now go with the weather report, thanks to the Central Forecast Office.
Everything as you know it starts here. That simple promise of a harvest after planting is nature's service to the community that you and I are a part of. We carry on bonding and sharing because the feeling to serve is mutual. But that promise between us, the sun and the land, is what gives us the hope to carry on. And as it was in the beginning, we started with a belief to serve. Elton, a new vision of service.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. The President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya Jammeh Babli Mansa, is to compensate all those who were under his Hajj package but could not travel to Mecca for the pilgrimage. The first batch of tourists, numbering 154 from the Netherlands, jetted into Banjul this evening as the 2015-2016 tourism season is kicked into motion. U.S. Republican candidate Donald Trump once again courted controversy at a town hall meeting after failing to offer a decisive answer to a supporter questioning President Obama's fate. Plus, Pope Francis is set to arrive in Cuba on the backdrop of the Vatican's role in brokering ties between Washington and Havana. That was all in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Do stay with us. I am your presenter, FATOUMATA.